What is up, you beautiful freaks of nature? My name is Vi and welcome back to Infernum Summoner. In the last episode we went through the first half of Hardmode, even have some of the bosses embarrass us to such a brutal extent that looking in the mirror will never be the same for me. But ladies and gentlemen, what do we do in situations like these? That's right, whip out the good old it is what it is and continue forward like nothing ever happened. Today we will be finishing with the rest of the hard mode bosses so that in the next episode we can start dipping our moderately massive toes in this sweet post-Moon Lord content. Our first course of action will be to go into the Shimmer and get ourselves the Necromantic Scroll, which in the last episode your boy thought was post-Golem. Turned out that it was just a good old situation of nice bad luck. But with that we can finally start slowly but surely combining some of our accessories so that we can get more minion slots. From the Necromantic Scroll, we make the Papyrus Scarab, which we then combine with our Pygmy Necklace and the Summoner Emblem for the Status Blessing, giving us 2 minion slots, 12% summon damage and increased minion knockback. After that we make the Sanguine Tangerine for 25 more HP and then we make the Astro Chunk, as we see that Astro Morass is the last boss we need to kill before another massive accessory upgrade. After failing 2 times because our dodging capabilities are non-existent, we defeat him on the 3rd time and then immediately go in the Underground Astro for the Starbuster Core. We then make a caustic tier so that we can start the Acid Rain event, from which we need to find and kill a Kragmore Mire as he drops us the Nuclear Fuel Rod. After combining it with the Starbuster Core, the Jelly Charge Battery and 3 Life Alloy, we get the Star Tainted Generator. Banging accessory that increases minion slots, summon damage, allows our minions to inflict 3 different debuffs and gives us immunity to the irradiated debuff. After we're done with the upgrades, we make a plate and combine it with 3 Truffle Worms for a Truffle Worm Platter, an Infernum exclusive item that summons Duke Fish on without needing to fish, and with that we head to the beach and give Duke the what for. Even though we were close to dying, we first try the Bluefish, but unfortunately don't get the fish on wings, which means we have to refight him. And after another quick and easy fishing session, we go back home where instead of opening the bag, we use it to make the wings straight up without needing to gamble on the job. If I remember correctly, these are recipes added by Fargo's mod, which allows you to pretty much target any weapon or accessory you want from a boss just by trading the bag for the weapon or the accessory. After that we go to the ocean, where after a quick swim we find a beautiful looking siren at the bottom of the ocean, which we couldn't help but spank with our whip. Turns out she wasn't really in the mood though, as we now have to face her and Leviathan. Minute and a half later we defeat the duo. We don't get her summoner weapon, which from what I know is pretty solid. We go to the Abyss and dive right in, as after we defeat Levi and the Siren, the enemies down there can drop depth cells, which we will use to make our next century weapon, the Dreadmine Staff. And after a quick trip to the jungle for plague canisters, we make the Goliath spawner as well as the Wither Blossom Staff. It is pretty good, but we make the mistake of using it against Goliath, which is pretty much useless as it can inflict the plague on enemies and he's immune to it. But after a quick death that happened by a freak accident, we only used the Sun Staff and spawned the Plague Bringer Goliath again. And yeah, 31 seconds fight. You could say that the combination of the Vengeful Sun and the Dreadmine is pretty good, and I would 100% agree. But from Goliath we wanted to get the Fuse Cell bundle, as it is our next summon weapon. It spawns mini Plague Bringers that shoot out at enemies very slowly at first but ramp up over time. After going back home, we make the Radiant Crystal, which is another Infernum Mod exclusive item that allows us to spawn the Empress of Light at any time. Our first few attempts go a little poorly until we get used to all of our attacks, but on the fourth one things go as they should. From our bag we get our next whip, the Kaleidoscope. After that I tried the Vengeful Sun Staff on her just to test if it's better than the Fuse Cell, and it turns out that it is. I was using 2 minion slots for the Blossom Staffs as well, which might have actually made it a little worse than the full Vengeful Sun Staff. But I didn't think too much about it, I just moved on. I then tried to open her bags until I get the Terra Prisma, which from what I remember, Calamity makes obtainable even if you defeat Nighttime Empress, but after opening around 50 bags and later reading the patch notes for Empress in Calamity Wiki, I found out that they made it obtainable only if you defeat her in daytime. I see that they also buffed it in a couple of different ways, so it's probably worth it if you like the challenge, but I know we will later get to stronger weapons, so we just move on. At the very least we get all of the prismatic dye we'll ever need, so now we look fabulous as hell. But now it's time for my favorite hard mode boss, Ravager. That, by the way, was sarcasm. But as it turns out, Summoner makes this boss low-key enjoyable, as the Plague Bringers and the Dreadmine Staff shred him in just 33 seconds. And we first try him, which has never happened before, but there is a first time for everything. After that we clear out the little mountain that is next to our house, so that we can make a good flat surface for the Odd One's army. Initially I wanted to skip it as it's pretty annoying, but I remember that it gives the war table, and as a summoner it is quite crucial to have. So after one very amusing and highly interactive army, we kill Betsy alongside the 2 other mini-bosses, get our war table and move on to the Lunatic Cultist, who I underestimated so incredibly much that I completely forgot he had attacks that I should probably dodge, as we aren't melee, which means that we are fragile as a flower. Don't forget to always stay exactly underneath him when he starts his DSP, as this is his A spot. But after a quick little fight that we unfortunately had to do twice, we get our Ancient Manipulator and we head straight to the Stardust Pillar. And after clearing it, we can start making even more upgrades, as Stardust Fragments allow us to combine the first Shadow Flame and the Status Blessing into the Status Curse, which increases our summon slots by 3, damage by 12, minion knockback, and allows our minions to inflict Shadow Flame. Now, the accessory states that it does not stack with downgrades, but that only applies for Calamity downgrades, which means that we can put on a Necromantic Scroll and get another minion slot. I later realized that I could have just used the Papyrus Scarab instead, and I would have had a 5% additional increase in damage, but that's alright. We go clear out the Solar Pillar, as it is located in our Astrum biome, after which we put some more hammer platforms and prepare to fight Astrum Deus. It takes a while to get in rhythm, but on our third attempt we defeat him and go to our desert to farm Sand Elementals, as we need 3 Forbidden Fragments for the Sandstorm's core, which we will use to fight yet another boss that I forgot to fight in my previous playthrough, that being Argus. So after going to the underground desert, we go to the Lost Gateway, and using the Sandstorm's core we click on the little structure in the middle and we are taken to the Lost Coliseum. How the hell did the devs manage to make all of this and put it in a single mod is beyond me, but what I do know is that it is straight up stunning. Now, I've never fought Argus, so it is normal that it takes me a good couple of attempts to finally beat him, but after dying a couple of times I realized that since I'm in a different world, I didn't have access to my War Table and Bewitching Table, which is a pretty good loss of damage. So I cheated them in so that it's fair, and on our 5th attempt we are able to beat him. but after defeating him we get our next whip, the Perditus, or however you pronounce that. After you kill him, you need to use the water glass token from your hand in the hotbar in order to return to the normal world. And luckily for us, we did not lose any progress. What I mean by this is that when you go into the Lost Coliseum, since you're pretty much going in a different world altogether, the mod has difficulties checking all of the bosses you have defeated so far, and usually what happens is you come out of it with having half of your bosses unchecked, and you either have to defeat them again or use a mod to check them so that they are counted as defeated. It doesn't really matter unless you want to use something that is based on defeated bosses like the community, or you're a perfectionist like me, but luckily our progress was not harmed. But now it's time to get rid of the final two pillars and face the Moonlord. In Infernum, once you defeat the last pillar, the boss spawns after just a couple of seconds, so we go to our arena, place our wayfinder and jump into it. And finally, on our 9th attempt, and also switching back to our Vengeful Sun stuff, we defeat the final boss of Hardmode. I gotta be honest, once you kill the 3 mechs, just use the Sun stuff for the rest of Hardmode. This thing really is insane. But ladies and gentlemen, with the Moonlord massacred and every single other hard mode and pre-hard mode boss defeated, including the Dread Nautilus and Betsy, this will have to do it for this episode. In the next one, we will be enjoying the creamy and delicious post-Moonlord content, so make sure to squeeze the cream out of that like and subscribe button so you don't miss out. I always post it when there is a new episode uploaded on my social media, so if you check those more than your YouTube recommended section, make sure to give them a follow. You can also subscribe to my Patreon, which is a great way to support me additionally, if you like what I do, as all of you know by now, all completely optional. The links to all of these will be in the description. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope that all of you beautiful pandas will join me in the next one. Wholesome, family-friendly Whipmaster Vi out.